1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Out there in Banjo Land, Mike Hedding here, coming to you today with the old classic song, Yankee Doodle. Just an easy, simple, single note melody, and what we're really going to focus on with this lesson is how to take a single note melody and convert it to a bluegrass style solo. This is still one of the most common questions I get, either that I know a single note melody and I don't know how to make a bluegrass style solo, or basically the opposite. I know a bluegrass style solo, but I don't know how to play or hear the single note melody in that. So that's what we're going to focus on for this lesson. I played the single note melody at the beginning, and then I played the bluegrass style solo. And remember, creating a bluegrass style solo isn't just adding notes around the simple melody. We're actually going to modify the simple melody and approximate the melody and convert it to basically Scruggs style rolls. And that's what we're really going to focus on for this lesson. And if you're watching the preview of this lesson, you can head over to my website, MikeHeddingMusic.com, and grab the full lesson. You'll get access to watch all the videos, and you can download the tabs and the practice tracks. All right, here's Yankee Doodle in the key of C. All right, let's start breaking down this single note melody to Yankee Doodle in the key of C. So this is going to be great practice, again, taking a single note melody, and then we're going to look at adapting it to a bluegrass style solo. I think a common misconception with beginner players is, I know I was really unsure of this, is do you just add notes around the melody, or how do you turn it a single note melody into a bluegrass style solo? And this is a really good song to do it because the melody doesn't have a lot of space. So we'll quickly realize how just adding notes around the melody isn't going to quite work out. And that's what we're going to dive into in this lesson. So let's start breaking down the single note melody first. All right, so let's play the first 8 measures of the single note melody. It's basically like kind of the verse part. So let me play it and then we'll start breaking it down. Here we go. Let's do that again. We'll do it a little slower. One time a little faster. Alright, so we're going to be, again, we're working out of the key of C. So basically work out of this, your regular C chord. And it's important to remember when we're looking for the melody notes, the first spot to look is on one of the chord tones. So we won't get too deep into the musical theory on this lesson, but chord tones are basically the notes that make up a chord. So a C major chord, which is, we're in the key of C major, is made up of 3 notes, C, E, and G. So that's a really good spot to start looking for the melody. It makes sense. Obviously, if one of those notes is in the chord, it's probably going to be a pretty safe note to play while someone's playing that chord. So whenever I'm looking for a melody, if I know I'm in a certain key, I start with my chord down and I play, just play all the notes and see if any of those is the starting melody note. In this case, our melody note starts on the 1st fret, 2nd string, which is a C note. So again, I feel like sometimes beginners get confused with this. They look at the entire fretboard and they don't know where to start looking. But if you start with one of the chord tones, chances are it's probably going to be one of the melody notes. In this case, we're starting with a C note over, or a C note played on top of a C chord. So it obviously makes sense that it's a very safe spot to start. Okay, so that's where we're starting. I'm going to use the index finger of my right hand. I'm going to play that note twice. And And then I'm going to take my third finger off, so I'm in my C chord, and I'm going to play the open first string, and then the second fret. So we have, and I'm using index, index, middle, middle. I've got the right hand fingerings below the tab. You know, thumb or T is thumb, I is index, M is middle. You can use those if you want. You could probably also just use your thumb the whole time. The right hand fingering on the single note melody isn't quite as important. So again, we're going, and notice how we're going from a chord tone, the C note, and then we have one passing note, our D note, which is also in our scale, the open first string, and then we're going to another chord tone. So we're going from a chord tone to a passing note in the scale to another chord tone. So it's a very safe way to play and look for a melody. Most bluegrass and folk melodies are going to be a series of chord tones and then a few little passing notes that are also usually in the scale. So that's what we're doing there. So again, just keep your C down. And then we're just going to play those same notes for measure 2. First fret, second string, second fret, first string, open first string, and then open third string. Again, pretty much all chord tones except for that D. So we have, and they're all quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So no pauses yet. So, and then measure 3 is the same as measure 1. And then measure 4, we're going to play the first fret, second string for a half note. So 1, 2, and then open second string. Take your whole left hand off for another half note. 3, 4. So we have, and if you're having trouble figuring out how long that half note is, what you could do is play each of them as quarter notes, which is the rhythm we've been doing. So it'd sound like this. Here's 3 and 4 with the quarter notes. So you could get the timing down and then take it out. So let's play that whole top line. So not too hard. We have, I'll do it one more time with counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the second part starts the same. So that's all the same there as measure 1 and 3. And then put your pinky on the third fret, and we're going to walk down those notes. So third fret, first string, second fret, open, back to the first fret, second string. So we have, just walking down the scale there, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those are the degrees of the scale, not the frets there. So the frets are 3, 2, open, 1. And then a little ending lick over a G chord. Here's measure 7. Open, second string, open third string, second fret, third string, open second string, and then the first fret twice on the second string. So that's just a little ending lick. So let's play that whole second line. So not too hard. Keep your hand basically kind of hovering over the C chord the whole time. So let's play that whole verse single note melody. Here we go. Move on to the chorus part. So for the chorus, we're going to go to like an F chord, and we're going to play the second fret on the third string, and then open second string, and then second fret on the third string, and then open. And we're just going to do a little rhythm. So we're going to go 1 and 3, 4. So you'll see there's a little dot next to the first quarter note. So a dotted quarter note is 1.5 times a normal quarter note. So a quarter note plus an eighth note. So we have 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So we're going. So 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. So I'm doing thumb, index, thumb, thumb there. And then up the notes of the scale to 2nd fret on the 3rd string, open 2nd string, 1st fret 2nd string. So not too hard. We have. What I'd also recommend is just singing the words in your head. So that's the chorus part. And then we have a little response to that. Same rhythm, open 3rd string, 2nd fret on the 3rd string, open 3rd fret on the 4th string, 2nd fret on the 4th string with a half note, and then open 3rd string. So I'm doing the same rhythm there, 1 and 3, 4. And that's tricky because you have to get your thumb and your index on the same string for a second of your right hand. So. So let's play 9 through 12. We have. I'll do it a few times. The other thing I didn't mention in measure 10 is the 1st fret is a half note. So you have 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So give that enough time. Just you know this melody probably, so just sing it in your head. Now measure 13 is the same as 9, so back to that opening line. And then walk up. And then back to the 2nd fret 3rd string. And then a little ending lick. Open 3rd string. 1st fret 2nd string. Open 2nd string. Open 1st string. And then the 1st fret 2nd string twice. So you have. So let's play that whole single note melody. Here we go. Alright, so not too hard there. So one other little thing you could do before we jump into the bluegrass style solo is maybe just adding some little hammer-ons, kind of some little ornaments. So you could do. So maybe like on that 2nd fret, hammering on into that. Any of those kind of 2nd frets, you could like hammer on into them. That's just a kind of subtle way to add some little ornaments before we start adding some rolls. All right, let's jump into the bluegrass style solo now. All right, so let's start breaking down the bluegrass style solo. And I think a common misconception, like I said at the beginning of the video, is that you take the single note melody and you just fill in the spaces with other notes. But that's not really how bluegrass style banjo works, because remember, bluegrass style banjo, playing the melody, you're approximating the melody. You're not playing single note melody. And I think that really trips a lot of players up. I know it tripped me up when I first started, is you see the single note melody And then you see the bluegrass style solo, and it's not just filling in the spaces with other notes. You're actually changing the melody to make it fit into the rolls. So let's look at the single note melody again, because if you had to just add other notes, there's really no space in the melody. All you could really do is like bounce off the fifth string. You know, and that would technically work, but it doesn't sound very bluegrassy, right? That's more like a two-finger way to play banjo, or like a really old-time way or something like that. But that's not really what Scruggs would do. Scruggs would adapt the melody into his roll patterns, not the other way around. So that's really important to remember. So let's look at the first measure of the bluegrass style solo. Let's start breaking it down. For the first measure of the bluegrass style solo, we're going to do the classic Foggy Mountain roll. So I'm going to hit my index finger of my right hand on the first fret. And then my thumb's going to come down. I'm going to do first fret second string, and then open first string. And then I'm going to put my third finger down, and I'm going to roll through 5, 2, 1, 5. So we have... So it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So instead of... What we did is we modified the rhythm, so now we're playing the open first string earlier than your ear would expect it. So your ear would normally expect to hear 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So we're shifting that melody note to move it into a roll we know, and it kind of messes with your ear because you were hitting that note earlier than you expected to. So you might have heard that referred to as syncopation, but basically, syncopation can mean different things, but basically what I think of it is when you're hearing a particular note, a lot of times a melody note, shifted in the rhythm to a spot you wouldn't expect to hear it. So maybe you're expecting to hear it on the downbeat, and now we're playing it on the upbeat. So you get this cool... your ear gets excited because you didn't expect to hear it there. So what I would do is accent the first 3 notes of this roll. And then right here, accent this note. So we have... And remember, it's approximation of the melody, so you're not going to hear... That's not how bluegrass banjo is played. We don't play note for note melody. We're playing an approximation of the melody. I keep mentioning that because I think it's something that so commonly trips up people, is they have a single note melody and then they don't know which notes to leave out. How do you convert it into a roll? And that's what we're really going to work on for this lesson, okay? So one more time. And then 18, we're going to hit the first fret second string, pinch the outside strings. So that's our melody there again. Except I just added a pinch to make it a little more Scruggsy. And then right here we're going to do a backwards roll. So middle, index, thumb, middle, just on open strings. And that we did really we played pretty much the melody there. So the melody, remember, is... So in that case, we did just fill it up with a roll. Play the first 2 measures of each version back to back.